Welcome to another video for WinBidPro version 15 by GDS Estimating. Today we're talking about can stick systems and how they're configured and the little nuances and changes you can make to affect the way the drawing looks and the cut sizes and even the daylight openings. So let's get into that. First of all, let's look at this system that's on the screen. This is a full reveal head receptor. So it's a 2-inch system. This is a 2-inch reveal for the head receptor, and we're showing that the verticals sit inside there. We're showing that they're also trimmed or cut so that they can fit inside there. They're not flush to the top. And then if we zoom out here to the bottom, now we're looking at the sill receptor, and we're seeing that our verticals sit on top of it, and there is a trim value there. So let's we know that the bottom of this sill receptor is the ground, and we also know that the sill receptor itself has a profile that is maybe 3/8 of an inch, could be 1/8 of an inch, whatever it is. So there has to be some trim value for that vertical to sit on top of it. So that's what it's showing right here. Now we're also showing that the sill receptor is not full reveal. It's just like a 1/2 inch or so, and then the sill filler pieces actually make up the rest of the reveal for that full 2-inch reveal. So those are the two different ways to do it. We can either have the full reveal that the receptor shows, or we can divide it up and show what the actual receptor shows and then the filler piece shows in the drawing. Either way, we're going to get the same cut sizes, and we're also going to get the same glass sizes because your daylight opening doesn't change as long as that overall reveal is 2 inches. So let's see what that actually looks like in the framing system. First of all, in order to have these things configured, we have to be down here in this section at the bottom, head receptor and sill and subsill settings. So these boxes need to be checked, and that tells the program that not only are we going to have a profile to draw, but we're also going to have some sort of trim value. And notice how these are our regular profiles for heads, horizontal sills, verticals, all that. So notice how head is 0 right now. That's because this is the one that has the full head can reveal of 2 inches. So that piece is continuous, uninterrupted. So we need to tell it here that that's 2 inches, and that's why it's showing that way. And then notice that this value, 1 inch and 17/32, that is actually not the trim value necessarily, but how much is added to the vertical from this joint where they're flushing up so that the vertical actually extends inside. And we did it this way just because of the evolution of the program and the way it originally worked. We just ended up adding to the vertical to make it extend up instead of trimming from the top of it. But either way, we're going to get the right cut size. So we're adding to the vertical there, and then for the subsill, let's move this out of the way. Remember that the subsill was the one that had the small profile for the continuous subsill, and then we had the larger profile for the filler pieces, which are interrupted between verticals. So we have that, and those settings are right here. So we're saying it's a 1/2 inch profile for the sill receptor, and we're making up the 1.5 inch for the fillers so that our overall is still 2 inches. And that's why we're going to get the right daylight openings and the right glass sizes. Now, in this case, we're actually trimming from the bottom. So in order to get that little trim gap that we saw in the drawing, that is dictated by this value here, 9/32. And where I'm getting that value from is I would look at the details for this system. So if I go to the the stock length tab, go to sill and view details, or just hit view, then it's going to show me this sill assembly here. And I've got my receptor with its little legs for caulking, and I've got a dimension here that shows from the ground to the top of the inside of that bottom piece of the receptor is 9/32. So that's where our trim value is coming from. Now, the 1/2 inch and then the remaining 1.5 inch for this filler, that was not dimensioned here, unfortunately. So that was kind of just made up. Again, as long as we've got our trim value correct and we have our overall profile of 2 inches, which it does show here, then we're going to be okay with everything. So I could say this is 3/8 and this is 1 5/8 or whatever. It doesn't matter really, except for how it's drawn here on the screen. So with this 1/2 inch, it does dimension it over here, but it shows pretty much what it's going to look like, right? And we know our trim values are right because we have our right, our cut lengths are right because we have our right trim value. But this is pretty much the look we wanted. So that's what it's showing us. Now if we go back to the head receptor and we look at that detail, then this one also has kind of a similar 1/2 inch thing, and we could have said it was a 1/2 inch here, I'm sorry, 1.5 inches here. But in this case, we've got a 15/32 that they're giving us more or less the trim value. From the top, this dash line is the top of the vertical that sits inside the receptor. And if you remember in our drawing, we have a gap there at the top. So we're accounting for making that vertical short enough so it can still slip into the head receptor. And we got that value by figuring this 15/32 and subtracting it from the overall 2-inch profile of this assembly. So that leaves us what's remaining here, which is up to the top of the vertical here. And that was, I believe that was 1 inch and 17/32, which is a strange value, but that's what it is. So that is basically how this all works, is you have to decide how much room you need in your head receptor to get your verticals in, and then you're adding, so you're figuring out that gap and then you're subtracting it from the overall profile, and that's going to give you how much to add to the vertical to make it extend up into the head. So let's show you something real quick. So if I went back and I said I don't need a extension so that the verticals go up into the head, if I zero that out, now we can go back to our drawing and notice how it does not show the verticals extending up into the head. Basically, they're just butting up against the bottom of that head receptor right now. So that's obviously not going to work when you go to install this system, but it may look okay on the drawing, but only because it's not showing it extending up inside the head can. So we would want to have some value in here so that we know that our verticals are going to be cut long enough so that they sit inside the can and can be held in place. So that's basically all the nuances for the can stick systems and receptors. And you can either have this type of look where you've got the actual reveal of the receptor and then the fillers, or you can have this type of look where it just looks like one continuous thing. And either way, you're going to get the right cut sizes and glass sizes. That's about it. Thanks.